Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Run It Back, the show we try to get things right the second time. After a brief hiatus in Modern Horizons 3, in today's episode, we are back with Bloomborough. This is the second draft done of the format as far as I'm concerned, and we will be diving into it now. As we take a look at Pack 1, Pick 1, we see a rare here in Dawn's Truce, which I think can be good, but definitely is not Pack 1, Pick 1able. This is obviously something that would be very good against board wipes, a lot of trading off in combat, that sort of thing. Even just as a 2 mana, save 1 creature, or, save 5 or 6 damage to the face, that can be very powerful, but overall, not really impactful for Pack 1, Pick 1. We do have this Builder's Talent, which it wouldn't surprise me if later on in the format this turned out to be very, very good. And then looking at Thought Stalker Warlock, this is a 3 mana 2/2 with Menace, which already on rate looks very good in Lizards, which is fine. And then if opponent lost life, you get to reveal their hand and Thought seize them essentially. Otherwise, they just discard a card. So 3 mana 2/2 Menace, discard a card is great. Being able to choose that is even better. I think this is going to be one of the defining creatures of the format. So we decided to pick it up here. Taking a look at other cards we're looking for, this Roughshod Duo looks particularly strong. Pawn Prophet I like quite a bit. We'll see what comes around. In Pack 1, Pick 2, even though we just picked a black card, I'm looking at this Castrol the Windcrested. This card is insane. Anytime one or more of your birds deals damage to a player, you get to Anthem, you get to draw a card, you can bring a bird back. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. We do have a Fireglass Mentor here. We do have another Roughshod Duo or Coruscation Mage, all of which look very good. Even Teapot Slinger is fine. A Hunger over here is a removal spell, so lots of good red-black, but I did see this bird in the pack as well, and just thought that Castrol was over head and shoulders above everything else. This draft definitely could have gone into Lizards. Things are looking very good for Lizards after 2 packs, but we decided just to take the bomb. Pack 1, Pick 3, I wasn't overly thrilled with Artist Talent. This is very much an Otters card. I don't really love it. Really in anything else. There is this Steam Path Charger and a Take Out the Trash, so if we wanted to sort of, get rid of Castrol and move into red-black, we certainly could, but I wanted to see if we could make Castrol work, so we picked up the Splash Lasher, which as a 4-mana 3/3 Frost Links is fine. Getting double Frost Links is great. You can end up putting both stun counters on one creature if you want, otherwise tapping 2 things down and 2 stun counters, 1 on each, looks great. Pack 1, Pick 4, I do think this Huskbuster Swarm looks pretty good, but we ended up deciding to go with just a removal spell in Nocturnal Hunger. Unfortunately, there's really nothing in white or blue that I'm excited about, so we just decided to go back to black, which is one of the other colors that we were looking at, and a removal spell is always tough to pass up. Pack 1, Pick 5, we see another Huskburster Swarm. We also see a Hivespine Wolverine. I think we're pretty far off from the Wolverine at this point. We do see a Thornplate Intimidator, which I don't think is really good unless you get the Offspring, and it's 7 mana Offspring, so a little bit down on that. So we just decided with the Dazzling Denial. I think it's perfectly fine in blue-black to play a tempo-style strategy, and being able to quench something is good. If we end up getting moved into birds, Dazzling Denial is incredible, so let's just kind of move on from there. Pack 1, Pick 6, I was pretty unimpressed with most of this. You've got a Moonrise Cleric, which is fine. You've got an Intrepid Rabbit, again, which is fine. Mind Spiral, I think you can pick up a little bit later. I don't want to play too many of these because unlike Unfathomable Truths in MH3, this one is a sorcery. It does stun something from an opponent if you give them a fish, which I found the fish to be largely irrelevant, but just in general, it doesn't live up as well as the instant speed one. This Psychic Whirl I thought was going to be pretty good because, if we're in blue-black, we're going to probably see a couple of rats. I think Mind Rot is actually going to be pretty good in this format because it's not overly fast. You can stall out the board, and getting any 2-for-1 you can is good. Having a rat, therefore surveilling 2, also very good as well. Pack 1, Pick 7, looking back on this one, I see a Mudflat Village, which looks pretty good. This Bone Bind Orator also is about the best 2-drop that you can get in the format. 2 mana 2/2 is perfectly reasonable here. There are some bigger creatures, but just as a common, 2 mana 2/2 is good. And then being able to pay 4 mana at instant speed and getting a creature back from your graveyard later on is awesome when you've got bombs like Castrol, or who knows what else we're going to find. We could end up picking up this Fountain Port Bell, which allows us to splash the Castrol if we wanted to. Otherwise, realistically, 3-tree Mascot is the better splash pick because it is both a rat and a bird and a frog and anything else that we need. Pack 1, Pick 8, Glide Dive Duo. It turns out, in my opinion, is the best duo. 3 3 flyer is very good on rate. Opponent losing 2 life and you gaining 2 life is huge in bats. It's huge in lizards. It's very good overall. And 5 mana for all of that in one succinct package is a little bit expensive. Obviously, this is not going to be busting any constructed formats, but I think it's very good as it sits. Pack 1, pick 9 on the wheel. We are debating between a Long Rivers pull and a Mind Spiral. Having drafted a couple drafts after this, I probably would have taken this Long Rivers pull back, especially in best of 3. Countering target creature spell is extremely good against red and green decks because they are going to be primarily creatures and combat tricks. So being able to end up countering like a big 6 mana creature or, a big 4 mana creature that has Offspring or something attached to it for 2 mana, that's huge. If you need to end up giving them a card so that way they don't resolve their big board wipe or whatever, that's fine. But in general, I think I probably would have taken this Long Rivers pullback. Mind Spiral, again, is fine, but I think I can get another one of these. Pack 1, pick 10, we're looking at a Bellowing Crier, a Runaway Together, or a Corpseberry Cultivator. I think this Forage, you need a lot of little triggers to help out with your Forage, or like good spells for it, so I don't think I'm that interested in just casually having a little Forage, especially if we're in blue-black and some rats care about Threshold. Looking back at this pick, I do think I want this Bellowing Crier over the first Runaway Together. I think you can get another one of these and you're never playing 2. I think you can get multiple of these and you're probably always playing more than 1. So I'm probably wanting this Bellowing Crier back, but Runaway Together is a perfectly fine pick. Dazzling Denial looking very good, especially even if we don't have birds, but getting 1 or 2 birds out there, or maybe some of the changelings. Dazzling Denial is a great pickup late. A second Runaway Together means that this other frog, the Bellowing Crier, should have been the pick there because we've got our Runaway Together here, and then we end up with a Waterspout Warden, which I don't think we wanted to play, but if we do have to play this, it's not embarrassing. This is not something that people are going to laugh at if you put in your deck. Pack 2, pick 1, we do see a Valley Flood Caller, which of course all of the caller cycles care about all of the creature types that are the same color. So this one cares about blues, bird, frog, otters, and rats, therefore being the white, green, red, and black pairings to the blues. I don't really care about that third very much, except for in otters, but not casting non-creature spells as though they had flash is kind of a big game, especially when we're talking about Mind Spiral and how if it was instant speed would be absolutely busted. Other things we're looking at is Shore Up. I think we can probably wheel this card. This Mind Drill Assailant, I did not draft at all during this this draft, and I saw somebody else draft it, and it looked actually really good. 4 mana 5/5 is kind of huge in this format, so I might be interested in drafting this one a little bit more often. Pack 2, pick 2. I didn't see really anything. We've got the Sky Skipper duo, which I didn't think I wanted, especially because we already have 2 5-drops like this. We could be splashing for Clement, but if we're splashing for Clement, we're not splashing for Castrol, and I thought Castrol was stronger, and so I'm like, well, if we are going to splash white, then let's go and take the best card in the pack, which is this Repel Calamity. Lots of good like red and blue cards for otters here. Interesting pack. I don't really care for it. It's not good for us, but it's a good pack. Pack 2, pick 3, we kind of get lucky here with a Thoughtstalker Warlock. I thought this card is particularly strong. I thought there was a lot of ways that we could end up buying it back with the Runaway Together, and it played out about as well as you can expect. It wasn't going to be the game-breaking card that some people might want out of their uncommons, but this one certainly played a great role and definitely was able to shut the game down. Pack 2, pick 4, we got an Into the Floodmaw. Unfortunately, this one cannot end up bouncing our own creatures. It has to go to opponent stuff, but 1 mana unsummon on your opponent's creatures has been very, very good, especially in a combat-driven format about attacking and blocking and getting creatures through, formats where there are a couple of different anthems and lords around, and then also formats where there's a bunch of fight and punch spells. Like green has, I think, 2 or 3. Red even has one at common. Into the Floodmaw is great. Pack 2, pick 5. This was contentious amongst people who were on the server with me at the time, but I think Splash Portal is great. I picked it up here mainly to test, and it turned out perfectly, especially with 2 Thoughtstalker Warlocks. Even though I won't get the draw the card off the Splash Portal, being able to Thoughtseize my opponent again was awesome, but then also being able to end up doing things like Splash Lasher, draw a card, put another stun counter on something was awesome. Doing it for my Glide Dive duo, maybe for lethal. I mean, this card just worked out phenomenally. I was so impressed with Splash Portal. Pack 2, pick 6, looking at a Bellowing Crier. We also have this Bone Cache Overseer, which I don't think we're doing very often. There is a 3-tree Mouch. If I had it back, I probably would take a second Splash Portal, but a Bellowing Crier is a perfectly fine pickup to make sure that we get the value out of those Splash Portals anyway. Pack 2, pick 7, a Tidecaller Mentor is a blue-black gold card for us. I don't think it's that good because it's just like a mana war, but you need Threshold for it, and Threshold is kind of tough unless you're also like splashing into squirrels. But I don't know, 3 mana, 3/3 menace is like not shabby. Like I think the floor on this card is perfectly fine. The ceiling is not much higher, but like it's also fine. This kind of really works in that tempo style strategy. I would want cheaper, more splash portals that work well with this. Cheaper cards that kind of work well with this in order to make it better. Pack 2, pick 8, Pawn Profit over the duo here. Some white cards, but I think the white ship has probably sailed unless we open some super busted thing in Pack 3. Pawn Profit, great for the splash portal. Pack 2, pick 9, we see a Shore Up. I don't want another Mind Spiral. Having this card back, it might still take Shore Up, but the Mind Drill Assailant would have been something I would have considered a lot longer. I did not really consider it at all, but again, a 4 mana 5/5, this kind of thing works well because it also ends up surveilling, fixing your draws, and then milling over lands and things to get to that threshold faster. Pack 2, pick 10, we do see a Sky Skipper duo. I think I picked this one up, but I don't think I end up playing it. It does play a little bit more into the Frogs style strategy and the Blink strategy, so this one's an interesting pickup. Good late pickup in Pack 2, pick 10. Pack 2, pick 11, I've got a Rat here. I'm probably never playing this card. A 3 mana 1/4 with Vigilance, not very good. Even the 2/4 after Threshold is fine, but nothing exciting, so I think this one's likely going to sit in the sideboard most matches. In Pack 2, pick 12, we see 2 of them, and I still pick one, and I'm still not playing it. In Pack 2, pick 13, I'm more likely to play this as a 4 mana 2/4 because you also get to draw a card out of it. It does play well with the idea of blinking, because then you just like splash portal, draw a card, 2 mana, draw a card. Like that all works fine, but I think this is just too much of an ask for too little payoff. Pack 3, pick 1, we see a Long River Lurker, which this card also turned out to be fantastic. Other frogs you control have Ward 1, but more importantly, when this comes into play, you get to have something gain unblockable for the turn. That's obviously extremely good, especially with things like the Pawn Profit was phenomenal with it. Which one was it? The Thoughtstalker Warlock. I did that multiple times. So you played this on 3, even just not for the added benefit. Then you get to play this thing on 4, even though you're off curve, but you get to end up attacking it for 2, blink it out, also remove something from their hand. I won a game with a Glide Dive duo, being able to go unblockable for a turn and then coming back and draining the last 2 points of damage. This card was nuts. Pack 3, pick 2, we took the 3-Tree City mainly because it was a potential opportunity to splash white if we had enough frogs, and there wasn't really a whole lot else in the pack. I see this Glide Dive duo over here, but I'm not interested in pick 2ing it, even in the pack. Dire Downdraft, also a card I wish I had one of, but we took the rare to see if it might work out. Pack 3, pick 3. I see a Bone Bind Orator. If we did want to still be in white, we could do the Starseer Mentor, but that likely wasn't it. I have a Daggerfang duo, which works really well to get to Threshold quickly, but probably should have had Spellgyre. I think Surveil 2, draw 2 cards at instant speed definitely is something we want to be doing, but also countering a spell if we need to, also fine. This card is probably the card I want back the most throughout the format, but is what it is. Pack 3, pick 4, we see a premium removal spell. It's a Murder or even cheaper if you can forage. Splash Portal is obviously very good as well. Glide Dive duo over here, but I think just the awesome removal spells where we want to be at. Pack 3, pick 5, I see a Kidnap, which is phenomenal. Control magic and give somebody a card. This is great. Incredible. Daring Wave Rider, also very good card. We did pick up a Daring Wave Rider here, which was great with the Splash Portal. I had this in play. I used a Splash Portal to get another card back, but after Splash Portal resolves, it goes to your graveyard. Then this comes into play and puts the trigger in the stack, which allows you to cast the Splash Portal again, drawing 2 cards for 1 mana, plus then being able to end up getting something else back of mana value 4 or less. Pack 3, pick 7, I see a Glide Dive duo, which is great. Later on, Pack 3, pick 8, we see an Azure Beastbinder, which turned out to be pretty good. A 1/3, pretty much unblockable, because anything that has 1 power, you can actually turn into a 2/2 for a turn. Notably, this lasts until the beginning of your next turn, so any abilities that are lost don't stick around for your opponent's turn, and they're also artifacts and planeswalkers, so you can have a couple of different things with this thing. Pack 3, pick 9, a second Shore Up, not something I'm interested in. Pack 3, pick 10, another Glide Dive duo, which did make our def, which is great. Really loved having multiples of these cards. Pack 3, 11, we see a Finch Formation, which didn't get played. Pack 3, pick 12, we got a land out of it, which did end up getting played and played well. And then Pack 3, pick 13, we've got a Dazzling Denial. Taking a look at the deck, you can see here we've got 15 total creatures, which are great, but they're all very powerful creatures. I was really happy with the Long River Lurker, 2 Thoughtstalker Warlocks, 3 Glide Dive Duos. These all play really, really, really well. 2 Bonebind Orators. I mean, Bellowing Crier might be the worst creature in our deck. Having 2 Dazzling Denials wasn't really all that good in this deck, and I often sided in another like Psychic Whirl or a Shore Up. In the second Dazzling Denial was the card I end up just siding out most often, because I think in order to get to Threshold, you want your spells to be a little bit more proactive or a little bit more impactful than Quench. So I probably wouldn't have played this one. In theory, if I could have a second Splash Portal, that would have been incredible and would have absolutely adored it. If you want to have your deck featured on Running Back, feel free to send me over the logs from 17 lands so that way I can go ahead and review them on stream for you. Happy to do so. Happy to have fun. This deck was great. Bloomburrow is great. Magic's great. I'm absolutely loving it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.